leaders are arriving, the meetings have begun. India is hosting the G20 Summit and we are bringing you our 360-degree coverage. Also special editions of Vantage on Saturday and Sunday, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Our team will be at the venue to capture all the action for you. So whatever it is that you want to know about this G20 Summit, this is your destination, Firstpost. Let's start with what happened today. Almost all the key leaders are here, from Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida to UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, US President Joe Biden, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, also her counterpart, European Council President Charles Michel. It's a long list. More than 30 heads of state, top officials from the European Union and 14 heads of international organizations will be in New Delhi by Saturday morning. Most leaders are arriving tonight and India has gone all out to welcome them. All dignitaries are being welcomed by traditional Indian dancers. The performers represent different states of India. Also the country's rich diversity, like the Bihu from Assam and the Sambalpuri from Odisha, which the IMF chief also tried to perform. Take a look at this. And she was quite a sport. India has put its rich cultural diversity on display. Some leaders are trying to experience it, like British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. He's reconnecting with his Indian roots, he says. He arrived in India this afternoon and went straight to the British Council to engage with the Indian community. Later, he spoke about his Indian heritage.
And that's how I was raised, that's how I am. Hopefully I can visit Amanda while I'm here for the next couple of days. And yes, we've just had Raksha Bandhan, so from my sister and my cousins I have all my Rakis, and you know, I didn't have time to celebrate Janmashtami properly the other day, but hopefully, as I said, I can make up for that if we visit Amanda this time. But it's something that is important to me. I think faith is something that helps everybody who has faith in their lives, particularly when you have these stressful jobs like I do. Having faith to give you resilience, to give you strength is important, and it provides an outlook on life which I find particularly valuable.
It's quite an experience for the dignitaries arriving in New Delhi, but some leaders will miss out on this experience. There are some notable absentees, like the presidents of Russia and China. Xi Jinping has sent the Chinese Premier Li Qiang to lead their delegation. Ahead of their arrival, Beijing issued a statement. It said that China is ready to work with all parties and push for a positive outcome at the G20.
Firstly, China has always attached great importance to the G20 and actively participated in related activities. In preparation for the New Delhi summit, the Chinese delegation also participated in the consultations and discussions on the document in a positive and constructive manner. We are ready to work with all parties to promote a positive outcome.
Well, consensus could be elusive, especially on Ukraine. The Russian president, as you know, is also not coming. In fact, he won't participate in any capacity, not even virtually. He will not make a speech online, as he tends to do when he is not attending a summit. Russia will be represented by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Remember, Putin opted out last year as well. Indonesia was the host then of the G20, and they invited Putin, but it was a no-show. Perhaps because Zelensky was invited too at the summit in Bali. The Ukrainian president delivered a virtual address then. This year, India has not invited Zelensky in any capacity. There's a last-minute pullout as well. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. He tested positive for the Wuhan virus, so he will not be coming. The Spanish first vice president is attending in his place. There are some special guests as well. India has invited 9 countries. These are not G20 members, but New Delhi wanted them to join the talks. The leaders of Bangladesh, Egypt, Mauritius, the Netherlands, Nigeria, Oman, Singapore, Spain and the UAE. Their leaders are in New Delhi for this event. Heads of international organizations are also here, like the chiefs of the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, the International Monetary Fund and, of course, the United Nations. India has made the developing world a priority. The idea is to amplify their concerns on a global stage. Prime Minister Modi's first engagements reflect that. He held 3 meetings today. He met the leaders of Mauritius and Bangladesh. The third meeting was with US President Joe Biden. We'll cover that in just a bit. Let's talk about the first 2 meetings with Mauritius and Bangladesh. Mauritius is being represented by Pravind Kumar Jagnauth, the Prime Minister, and Bangladesh is being represented by their Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. These were bilateral talks. Prime Minister Modi met both the leaders at his residence. The next 2 days will be hectic for him, to say the least. His schedule is packed. He will chair a range of sessions at the G20. They will cover a wide variety of subjects, from economic growth to sustainable development goals, reform of multilateral institutions, digital public infrastructure, gender equality, a whole host of things. And when he is not inside the summit hall, Prime Minister Modi will be holding bilateral talks. He'll meet the leaders of the United Kingdom, Japan, Germany, Italy, France, Canada, Turkey, the UAE, South Korea, and others. More than 15 bilateral meetings have been planned. So what can we expect tomorrow? Saturday is the first business day of the G20 Summit. The leaders will gather at Bharat Mandapam. That's the venue of the summit. It's in central Delhi. The leaders, they will discuss the leaders' declaration. India has prepared a draft, and this draft will go through tough scrutiny. The leaders will go over every line and push back wherever they have an objection. We told you about this yesterday. There are divisions over a passage on Ukraine. The West wants a strong condemnation of the war.
We are still negotiating, and I don't intend to say something that will make the efforts more difficult. We support the efforts made by the Indian presidency, but this is very clear that the EU position is crystal clear, and we condemn this Russian aggression. We support the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Ukraine.
Russia and China, of course, are against that. And remember, the G20 is not like the United Nations Security Council. Here, every member gets a veto. So there has to be unanimous support for the declaration for it to pass. Every member has to agree. Can India make that happen? Can India bridge the divide and thrash out a consensus? New Delhi remains hopeful.
New Delhi leaders' declaration is almost ready. I would not like to dwell on it because this declaration will be recommended to the leaders, and the leaders will then accept it. And only after it has been accepted by the leaders, we'll be able to talk about the actual achievements of this declaration.
Now, while the G20 has 20 members and all of them have a veto, some members are like the first among equals. They have considerably more influence. They tend to shape the agenda, and they could decide the fate of the Delhi Declaration. One of them is Joe Biden.